Good afternoon, traders. This is Michael from MR Strategies. I've been off these last 2 days. Market's been in a couple of tight ranges, but to briefly go over some very important things about these markets when you're trading them, and I've been talking about this for quite a while. In fact, when we sold off here after we had that huge Dow breakdown, I talked about this being the next possible level. 3,900 is going to be a big deal, and you can tell based on yesterday's trade as well that they could not take it out. And today they did the same thing, and it was quite convenient how they did today's trade. Yesterday was, when I talk about trading, it's about picking a location that you feel is going to provide you with the best opportunity to get the best reward for the risks that you put on your trades. And that's why I always emphasize these pivots and these moving averages and how significant they are in terms of so many of the market turns. So I'm going to talk about Thursday real fast because Thursday they opened lower and they hovered underneath, I think 39.20, and they just kind of drifted. There was a gap up to 46 that they never did fill. So, I mean, when you're looking at it, it's either one or two things are going to happen. You're either going to get the opportunity down here, which they didn't give you right away because they ran them up first, up to 30, but they never came up and filled. So there was kind of it was kind of range bound and choppy. There was nothing really worth taking. And that's where traders really get hurt in these type of sessions because you get there was sharp sell-offs that were reversing and going straight up and then stopping and reversing. That's chop. And by the time you react to those, you're getting in at the wrong location and you're just chewing up your account. And that's why I always talk about just wait. Wait for the opportunity to come to you. And patience is going to pay off. So, Thursday they got up to 30 and then they rolled. And they rolled them all the way down to this MA, which was also the overnight low somewhere in the part, somewhere give or take. And this was probably the best trade of the day was the buy down here. And they didn't exactly take off and run away. I mean, they came up, they came back down, they gave you two opportunities to get long off it. So, and I say it, and I understand when you look at this, it's like, oh my God, if they go through this, it's going to be a free fall. Maybe, but like I said, you have to wait and see what the market tells you at this price. Does momentum turn? And if it turns, does it provide you an opportunity to take the long? And it did. Let's take today's trading session really quick, and I'm going to show you some really important stuff, how you can use the Dow to help gauge your ES and or vice versa, because the ES, you got to see, ES is always got a little greater volume at each price point. Look, there's nothing here in the Y, so it's going to be a little thin in the Dow. So the Dow is going to move a lot more than the ES is going to move. So here's what happened this morning. Once again, it became where's the opportunity? Where's the best opportunity for you? It's Friday. And the thought process for me was, they're probably going to be hard pressed to get through 3,900. The market's taken a 2 day whack. They're going to bring a little buyers in. In fact, the Nasdaq is just really performing well, and that might be setting a tone. But once again, they conveniently rolled down and they came down to this. I couldn't even get on this long. It bounced so hard. It hit 39.11 and the next print was 39.17. I don't chase, but in the end, that's where they ended up going. And the first location where this market should go once they bounce off the lows is going to be right here. And this is the daily pivot in the ES. And it came up to this and it kind of hovered around here and it was telling you something. The ES was holding strong. So the ES eventually built itself up and they kind of faded right here, 43. And 43 is the MA. So, this is what you got to pay attention to, especially in this afternoon trade. Because right here, I'm going to show you what happened here. And this is how you can use the Dow. You can see the Dow is rebuilding right again. This has been a big deal right here. This their daily pivot. They started to roll them and look, they came right back up. So it looks at this market. You can see the ES is rallying again. And I'll show you where this rallied from. So you can see the Dow was struggling. Okay, and that was kind of keeping things intact. And the ES couldn't get over 43. The Dow was trying to get to their daily pivot, which is right there. And you can see what happens. Look at that volume spike. Once they got to that pivot, well, off they went. And look what happened here. That's 43. That's the moving average. Once it was almost like there were buy stops. And then we hovered around R1 and it held and it made a new high. It did provide a couple of shorts up there down into 46, but the trend's higher. And here's the confirmation. 43 low, it bounced. They tried one more time to get everybody in. 43. That's the MA. We couldn't get underneath it. And if we can't get underneath it, they're probably going to stay up for the day. So this is how you can use the Dow. And in fact, the Dow made a high of almost 33.3 and then they rolled and now they're right back going right back to it again. So it looks like the market is going to hold on to their gains unless something bizarre happens at the end of the day. This is how you can use the Dow, the YM, to give you an idea of how and where the ES is going to go. You know, the ES kind of meandered. They got up to R1, and right there, it's an R1 reversal to the upside. There was a spike right there, and then they just took off, and now they're making contract highs. And the Dow is in the same process. So that this is a little homework for you guys. You know, once again, I talk about this all the time. You know, you can trade it any way you want, whichever makes you comfortable and successful and or consistent. But if you really focus on these moving averages and these daily pivots, you're going to see a lot of play around them. Okay, look at that volume spike right there. That was the end of that was the end of the sell off right there. You know, that was the market and the institutions telling you that's it. We're going back up, and now everybody's going to just jump on top of it. Who knows where they're going to run it? So this is Friday. You can see market's going to just consolidate. You're in a basically in a 200 point range in ES, which stems from 4,000 down to 3,800. You can see the Dow is just well oversold down here, and they're just recovering some of this damage. So, you know, they still going to have issues right in here. And you can see the Nasdaq's getting back above all their MA, so they either setting up for another run up. I just don't know. And then the ES, anything above, you know, they who knows where they're going to take them this afternoon. But you can see how price starts to come right back into these moving averages. 3,900 is a big deal. Whether or not we punch it out, nobody knows. You know, and just don't get caught up in the hype. Trade the facts. And that's it, guys. Do your homework over the weekend. See how this thing plays out. You know, you look at your charts. Sometimes if you just rewind them a little bit, you can see how well everything plays out. So, listen, have a great weekend. You feel you want to talk about it? Reach out. Take care.